Well, the Lookout was an interesting project because it was previously thought of as a piece of land that was unusable. Because it's very narrow and on a cliffside, it was called the Lookout because really it was just a place for people to pull over, get out of their car or walk to and basically look at this incredible ocean view. When we were thinking about the design process for that project, it was really about fitting that property. And although it has an incredible view, you have this really strong wind that comes over the hillside and from the ocean itself. Usually when you have a view like that, the slope opens up towards the view. The difference with this project was we actually sloped it down towards the view, kind of like a brim of a hat, really low over your eyes, almost in a mysterious way, but that sort of aerofoil type form cuts into the wind that's really kind of pushing up against it when the winter is there. You know, when we're thinking about the form of the building, especially in these sort of extreme climates, we're learning from a way that they would have built buildings, you know, not 10 years ago, but 100 years ago, what materials they would have used that were local. Thinking about roof forms or materials that withstand that weather, because it isn't just about building something or designing something that's cool or interesting, it has to last. In Rabbit Snare Gorge, that portal, that first entry through the hoop itself, is kind of there for protection. It's about sort of exaggerating the verticality of the space, but also drawing from this tradition of windbreaks that you often see affixed to the outside of traditional buildings in the area. Really a place to ensure that the door doesn't swing wide open or slam shut. Also a place to have a cigarette and not get wet. And so this was really like an exaggerated way of doing that. It's a Corten steel, so essentially as it's rusting, it's becoming stronger, almost building a crust around it, and it's what they would have used for kind of container ships. Really, this was about something kind of that was almost responding to kind of that coastal landscape. It isn't about being kind of adjacent to the ocean, but looking through this incredible property and this valley landscape out towards the water. At Sluice Point, it's about framing a view and almost skewing the experience by presenting something that's essentially the reciprocal of the end experience, by entering something that's tall and skinny and then entering through and almost transforming that perspective to something that's very long and low. It's almost kind of turning you inside as you enter it. It really is a very marshy landscape where Sluice Point is, and as you're driving along the coastline, you see these traditional hay bale stacks that are essentially sitting on top of a wood structure. It's a way to dry hay in a wet climate. And so when you squint your eyes, the idea is that it would feel almost like a growth of the landscape, just pushing vertically, and that material would feel like, you know, part of the earth. Really, it's about coming up with an idea that's provocative, but also tells a greater story about a place. And so whether it's, you know, drawing from the plywood windbreaks that you see on buildings in a windy climate, or that insane wind coming from the hillside and on the ocean side, or that hay bale drying stack that we drew from the Acadian people in the area and the landscape, we're trying to find those kind of qualities to tell that story, and hopefully kind of producing a work that feels very much connected to the work that's existed in an area for centuries, but also kind of being the weird kid on the block at the same time.